Alright, welcome to video 2 of 3. This one I have actually like nice little notes here so that it's not like paragraph form like the last one. So one of the things that is a little bit of a joke in the personal training community is New Year's resolutions. And here's the thing about that is that 73% of New Year's fitness resolutions are given up early on, and 8% of New Year's resolutions are actually achieved. So the reason why I like the idea of a New Year's resolution is because it puts a specific date on when you're going to start, and that's a great thing. But there's a lot of things that kind of go into that are part of the whole fallacy of the New Year's resolution thing. And part of that is that, for one, people will a lot of times, they don't really come up with much of a game plan. It's usually, I will get into the gym and magically stuff will happen, right? And so they'll, a lot of times, all they'll do is they'll come in and they'll run on the treadmill. That's one of the biggest things that we see is in the gym is that around January 15th to February 15th, there's just no cardio equipment available. And they are like, well, I'm going to lose some weight because I'm going to go onto the treadmill, I'm going to run all the time. And if you have watched enough of my exercise videos or heard me talk about this in exercise science, you know that I don't like the treadmill. And part of that is that generally, especially if we have desk jobs or do kickboxing or something like that, our iliopsoas and iliacus and other hip flexors tend to be tight because we're seated in a chair all the time. And if you know, guys, in order to maintain flexibility, we have to move through the muscles' range of motion, right? And so if you sit here, if I kept my hands like this for 6 to 8 hours a day, eventually, if I try to straighten it out, my elbows is going to feel tension and I might not actually be able to get all the way straight because my muscle is losing elasticity from being in that position all the time. So if we're seated in chairs all the time, your hip flexors are going to become tighter. Now, your hip flexors pull your leg up like this, right? And so the muscles that pull it back the other way are going to be your glutes and your hamstrings. And if you're running on a treadmill, the belt is taking your legs, the leg once it touches down, and it carries it to the back. And you're basically just kind of riding that, right? And so when you're running, this movement, right, the leg coming front, is the only part that you really have much resistance on. And so the treadmill is doing probably 60-75% of the work for you. Yes, your heart rate is going to get up because you're moving fast, but you're not going to be getting the muscle strength training and resistance training or endurance training that you really need. And so you're going to be more likely to be prone to anterior pelvic tilt, which is going to compromise your low back and cause back pain. The other thing is because the treadmill is doing 80% of the work for you, you're not burning the same amount of calories as if you were running on the ground. Now, if you're running on the ground, you have less resistance on your leg coming back. Your heel strikes the ground, and then your glutes and hamstrings pull your leg back to propel you forward, right? And so since you were actually moving forward, you are getting some leg work out there. Now, so why do people kind of fail on New Year's resolutions? Well, that was one reason, right? Because they didn't come in with a plan, and they would do something that they just kind of assumed would be a good exercise, a good way of losing weight. We know that cardio is one of the more effective ways of losing weight, but guys, when you're doing cardio, it has to be cardio with resistance, right? So, doing stair climbers, running on the street, bike riding up hills or on uneven terrain, swimming in a pool, there's a lot of resistance coming from that water. All those things are going to help you build your cardiovascular endurance. Now, one note on swimming that makes it a little bit less effective is that your heart, which is part of the thing that we're trying to develop there, your body is parallel to the ground. So none of your blood has to go vertical, right? You don't have to have enough blood pressure to bring the blood up from your feet and bring it back to your heart chamber, right? And we don't have to pump blood up to our head. So if we're parallel with the ground and we're swimming across the pool, our heart doesn't have to work as hard to move blood around. But the flip side of that is that despite that not happening, we still have to move more blood around because we're using our type 2X or type 2A muscle fibers predominantly, right? So they're going to be burning more carbohydrate, they're going to be burning more energy and creating more carbon dioxide. So we have to have more of that oxygen exchange because we are moving that much weight. That being said, right, we're not going to develop our heart strength, just our heart speed and endurance, right? Because we're not going to develop that left ventricle wall as much because it doesn't have the resistance that you would have with training that would be vertical. So I do believe that, especially for wrestling, doing swimming for it is one of the better things that you can do. Just note that it's not going to get you all the way there. You need to be doing like jump rope. You need to be doing bike riding or something along those lines. So, anyways, I digress again. So, people oftentimes when they do New Year's resolutions, they don't know what their goals is, and they don't tell other people what their goals are, right? And so they haven't created a support network, and they haven't defined their goals in a way that creates a plan for them to achieve it, right? And so, and we're going to go into that a lot in the next video, but, when we say, I want to lose weight. Okay, that's your goal, okay? I want to be fit or toned, okay? I want to be fit or toned, but I don't want to develop any muscle. Okay, that's a contradiction in terms, and there's no timeline, right? You have no benchmarks for getting there. And people also don't, people don't reach their goals because they don't establish a clear endpoint. They don't create a three-dimensional plan. So a lot of times they'll say, I'll eat healthier, and then they eat salads and they put a bunch of olive oil on their salads. Well, olive oil has a shit fuck ton of calories on it. You're not going to lose weight if you're putting olive oil on your salads. A little bit of balsamic vinegar goes a long way, guys. And then they don't do something to change their lifestyle. Like one thing that we say if somebody works in an office building, once an hour, go down 10 flights of stairs, go back up, and then go back to work. So just take 5-10 minutes to do that every hour. That's a lot more movement. That's going to help you get there using a standing desk instead of a sitting desk. And then there's, so that's lifestyle type things. Maybe they come home every day and they immediately eat their junk food and they sit in front of the TV, and that TV habit is part of the problem, right? So, maybe you put a stationary bike in your living room, and when you watch TV for the first hour or so, you do it when you're on the stationary bike. And even if you're going at a, slow to moderate pace, that's more energy expenditure, more calories burned than if you were just sitting on the couch. And then, so there's diet, we talked about that, there's lifestyle, and then there's exercise. Okay, well, what kind of exercise are you doing? A lot of times people, when it comes to New Year's resolutions, they give up because their goals are not realistic. And then they give up before the end. People give up because they don't perceive progress. We talked about that in the last video. They don't enjoy the process. Okay, that's a big one, guys. They don't prioritize fitness in your life, guys. If you wanted to, when I was doing jiu-jitsu, my husband, before COVID, my husband was a lot of times the reason why I would go, because I was depressed. I wasn't motivated to do it. And he's like, well, we're paying for it, so you're fucking going. And that's great, right? And he said, well, if you're not going to go, I'm going to stop paying for it, and then you can't go. And I didn't want to lose that in my life, so I would go. And yes, people who love wrestling burn out on it too. So don't feel like you're exceptional if that happens. If you're a human just like anybody else. So oftentimes they burn out because they're working too hard in their workouts, right? If you're working too hard and you're beating the shit out of yourself, and you just and the CrossFit is a great example of this, or P90X or Insanity or something like that. If you're getting to the point where you're vomiting at the end of every single one of your workouts, you're not going to do them. Right? And I can speak for that. I would get nauseous when I would roll really hard, and the more I rolled, the more nauseous I got, and I never got to, when I was in Maine, I did throw up once. So if you start to associate vomiting and nausea with your workouts, you're not going to do them. So you need to be working out at a level that prevents you from getting that nausea. And yeah, and they also they work out too often, right? They feel like they don't have time to do anything else in their life. So 3 times a week is probably enough for most people to be doing any type of activity. I mean, you should be doing it 5 to 6 times a week. But if you can't, guys, do your 6 workouts on 3 days, right? Do your lifting and then your cardio. So you do a little bit warm up, lift, cardio, and that's 2 workouts, right? You got 1 cardio, 1 lift, and you do that 3 times a week. You'll start to see some real results with that. And also, people burn out because they don't enjoy their diets, guys. We need to, if we want to start to get to where we want to go, guys, we have to enjoy the process all the way through. And so we have to change our relationship with food in order to eat properly. So we have this concept in psychology, and this is one of the few things that they did teach us in trainer school as far as psychology goes, and it's what we call the trans-theoretical model. And it's really kind of a no-brainer thing, but it's kind of good to go through it anyway. So we have, I think, 6 stages to this. The first one's going to is called pre-contemplation, contemplation, planning or preparation, action, maintenance, and relapse. So when we are trying to develop goals, when we're trying to get people to a place, the pre-contemplation stage is the stage where we can't really do much about it, okay? The pre-contemplation stage is I'm sitting on the couch every night, I'm watching TV, I'm eating Funyuns, and that's my life, okay? So me saying, okay, my heart's not healthy because of this lifestyle, and I'm going to die. Sometimes you get that news that you are headed towards a heart attack, or maybe you've had a minor one, and you get that wake-up call that moves you out of that pre-contemplation stage. It could be that you just wake up one morning and you go in the mirror and you go, oh shit, I need to change. So that's kind of where we are with pre-contemplation, which is that we are not thinking about that change. And I see how actually in other things like suicide and whatnot, this trans-theoretical model applies, right? Right now, I'm in that pre-contemplation stage for suicide, right? I have no thoughts right now of self-harm at all. So what is pre-contemplation? Well, pre-contemplation is, we just talked about that. So contemplation is when you recognize that there is a problem and you're like, wow, I need to start making a change. And that's as far as it goes, right? And then the next part is that planning preparation. So that's when we moved past like, okay, I need to change, and us starting to go into how are we going to make that change, right? And so like what I said above, like when we're talking about people, like when they have New Year's resolutions, they go from pre-contemplation to contemplation to action. They skip over this planning preparation stage. And I think it's one of the more important stages for you to work in, because you need a plan in order to actually meet your goals. And then action is, I'm actually going to do it. Now, maintenance is when you've reached your goals, okay? And you need to keep going with it, and you're no longer working towards progress, so you've moved from training into exercise. And you don't necessarily have to, actually. Once you get into action, that's when you kind of start. If you're in the maintenance stage, that you could still be working towards that goal, but you're maintaining this attitude that you are working towards it. And then you have relapse. It's when you've been doing it for so long that you go right back to pre-contemplation and go back to your past life. And so it's really important. No, go away! Sorry guys, I'm a little arachnophobic. And so... when we're personal trainers, what we are looking for is we know that when it comes to pre-contemplation, we're not going to change anybody's minds, right? When we get into that contemplation stage, what we want to do is we want to pick those people up, move them into the planning stage, basically share with them what our plan is to change them, so we become the planning stage for them, and then we move them into action and maintenance. And then when we are training somebody, like a lot of people sometimes feel like trainers kind of string people along. You know, we do the initial 5 sessions, which are usually pretty cheap, and then there are the further training packages. And to be honest with you guys, I can't teach anybody to work out in 5 sessions. It doesn't work. I can't teach everybody everything that they need to know in one session. So it's kind of insulting when somebody comes in and says, well, can you teach me everything I need to know in a 150-minute, 50-minute consultation. No, I can't. And when people ask me to do that, I've gotten to the point where I absolutely just refuse, because I've come to understand, even in those 5 introductory sessions, I know that if I let people go at that point, I'm going to be doing more harm than good. Usually about 15, if I just stick to basics and just show the same exercises over and over again, I can start seeing some consistency there that's going to basically allow them to continue on without getting hurt. But I know that they are going to get to a point with those exercises where they're not going to see any results anymore. So, personal training is one of those things that is a long-term commitment, really. And I think that's a disservice for people to think that they can get to their goals in 3 to 5 sessions, whatever the introductory packages are in gym. So just don't assume when you approach a personal trainer that they're going to be able to dump a bunch of knowledge on you in a very short amount of time and be able to get you where you need to go, because they can't. So when we are setting up our goals, guys, and this first part is going to be a big part of the next section, which is quantify your goals, guys. So it's not, I want to lose weight, okay? I want to lose 20 pounds of fat, okay? So what is your goal? How much is going to happen? When do you start, and when do you plan on meeting that goal or finish, right? Assess your limitations. Absolutely, okay? What is your current fitness level, guys? Are you going to be able to do CrossFit if you haven't ever stepped foot in a gym and you are 50 pounds overweight and you haven't done any cardio in your life ever? No, don't do that program. Generally speaking, if you're going to be doing CrossFit, guys, you should basically be, I would say the prerequisite for CrossFit is like 5 years in a gym with a personal trainer, or doing a very competent exercise program that involves effective cardio, right? And so that is kind of kind of a prerequisite, because you want to get to almost basically to an athlete level, and you want to be incredibly consistent with the more dangerous lifts so that you don't injure yourself. You want to be more consistent with every lift before you go into that, because in that environment, it's really, really dangerous for a non-trained person to be doing the exercise that they're doing at the intensity that they're doing, with oftentimes not enough instructor instruction or observation, right? It's a group training environment. The instructor's attention is going to be divided. Now, if you can't afford a personal trainer, like I said, a lot of times you can do for like $130 a month a group training program that meets 3 times a week, and that should actually prepare you to be able to do that kind of thing. Assuming that it's maybe you do 6 months of Les Mills, then go into the paid classes that your gym offers, and then you go from there. That's going to be a more cost-effective measure, and along that period of time, at some point in time, I would recommend getting a one-on-one personal trainer that has the time and the focus to really, really clean up your movements. So that was, again, another digression. So what is your current fitness level? Are you ready to do this? What are your health conditions? What medications are you on? A lot of people don't consider that, guys. So if you're on Adderall, for example, it's probably important for you to get a assessment from your doctor to determine whether or not you should be doing a workout program, right? Because the Adderall has a tendency to increase your heart rate and increase your blood pressure, and so the odds of you having a stroke or a heart attack because of your workout go up quite a bit. Muscle imbalances, okay? That's a limitation that people don't even think about. And really, guys, you need to have a personal trainer to actually identify those. So, for me, if you guys were going to go into to do the 5 introductory pack, this would be a good thing to do with them. So you try to get somebody who's got a bachelor's degree in fitness, or kinesiology, and you want to get somebody that's like NASM, corrective exercise, has a specialty, or something along those lines. And you could say, okay, in these 5 sessions, I want you to identify what my muscle imbalances are and give me the exercises that I need to do to correct those muscle imbalances. So they're not trying to give you a program, they're trying to give you things to supplement the program that you're going to be doing by yourself in order to correct those muscle imbalances. And I think that you can potentially do that somewhat effectively in 5 sessions. So what's your time limitations? What are the do you have support from your friends or family to get you to your goals? And that can be a big thing, guys. If you're not motivated, like I said, Jet saying, do jiu-jitsu or I'm going to stop paying for it, and you're going to be fucked up. Well, or you're not going to be able to go anymore. Well, that's part of my support mechanism, right? What are your motivation limitations, guys? That's really important. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the next video. Can you be consistent? Right? So creating a schedule, right? A lot of times, guys, if we are trying to, and this is actually the next section, so I might as well just go on, and also looking at past attempts and a history will help us plan. So why did you fail the last time? Why did you fall off the wagon? Why did you go from that maintenance level back to pre-contemplation? Why did we fall back into our old habits? So think about that and try to plan for that in the future. And then there's what are the roadblocks that we have, right? So, and I know that's kind of the same thing as limitations, but are there emotional factors? Are there outside influences, guys? Like, your boss, or that would be like a job restriction. You're not able to do it at a consistent time. Your sleep is not very good. You do a lot of binging on foods or whatnot. You drink a lot of alcohol. You smoke. You have an injury. You're too sore after your workouts. There might be other pains that are coming. The next part is, what is your program design, right? And that's pretty key. Program execution, which is consistency, is what's going to get you there, guys. You can have a bad program that's not well designed and still meet your goals. It's just going to take longer, and you might have more injuries because of that. So, generally speaking, like having a good program that you can get there is going to be something that's going to help you get to the end there. So, program execution, consistency is key. What is your recovery plan? A lot of people look past that, guys. Don't do ice baths. A hot tub could help. Getting massages once a week or once a month as a kind of reward. That is a reward system for doing your thing, if you like that type of thing. Things that are going to help you recover and make you feel good, and so that you're not sore all the time and not feeling miserable. But one thing I'll tell you guys, when you're more consistent, you get sore less. Okay? So that is something that you can look forward to when you are more consistent, is you're not going to have that painful soreness. And you need to recognize progress, guys, as you're going along. And we've talked about that, like taking the photos. But other thing that you can be looking forward to is that your pants don't fit anymore, right? You don't have to wear a belt, or you have to wear a belt when you did it before, and your pants just keep falling off. That's progress, right? If you're trying to go for weight loss, we have the photos things. Taking measurements. Personal trainers, oftentimes, like if you ask them to, they might be willing to assess your body fat percentage. They might be able to do circumference measurements or anything like that. But other measurements could be like, I'm a strong note taker when I do my workouts. So I see what my progress is by looking at what weight did I use, how many reps did I do last time, or what was my rep average for the last month, and how does that compare to the reps that I'm doing now at the same weight. Maybe I was doing 8 to 12 reps on my chest press on about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now I'm doing 16. Well, now I need to go up in weight, and that is progress, right? So, and that's a performance thing. So you're able to run faster. You're seeing that. How's your energy? Your energy should actually get better. You'll feel tired at first because you're expending more energy, but you're probably going to eat more too when you start working out more, because you're going to need more energy. And has your sleep improved? A lot of times exercise will improve sleep. If it's making it worse and you're doing your workouts at night, do it in the morning, okay? Your recovery times are going to get shorter, right? So you're going to feel better faster. Your mood might improve. You might see improvements in anxiety and depression. So, again, those are like positive things that are going to help keep you going. So, that's what we got for this one, guys. And then we're going to go on to the next one. And this is the one, guys. I'm going to put these the questions here into the comments or the description down below. So we'll be right back.